August 27th, 2022, I'm standing in front of a mirror in Waverly, Iowa, putting on my tie, getting ready to be married to a young woman who worked at the schools. And as I'm putting my tie on in this momentous day in my life, the phone rings, and it's laying on this table in front of me, and I recognize it as my sister-in-law's number. I thought, why should she be calling me right now? They're not coming. Something's come up. What's going on? My mom had died. This is not a joke. This is the truth. My mom died while I was putting on my tie for my wedding. This is my second video on writing during difficult times. And that was a difficult time. It was a strange day, to say the very least. And I want to explain this. My mom was very ill health. Obviously, I'm 66. If you go back a few years, I was still in my 60s. And she was older, and her health was failing. And I had talked to her the night before and the day before, and I knew it was getting close, and she wasn't going to be able to make it to the wedding. But the fact is, your mother dies while you're putting on your tie, looking in the mirror, getting ready for your wedding. That's a difficult time. I didn't tell anyone at the wedding until it was over with. My daughters were there. My now wife, her daughters are there, friends, family. I didn't tell them until afterwards. I had to make that decision, and that's the decision I made. Now, writing during difficult times. The reason I bring this up again, too, is that my mom had actually helped me in my writing because she was encouraging to me during times that were difficult for me before. And those times were specifically, I spent 10 years in federal prison, which I brought up before, which is another story about difficult times to write. And while I was there, I'd started another book that I wrote, which is up behind me up here, which is a nonfiction book. But prior to that, I started writing a book that was a comedy, pure comedy, spewing comedy from my brain and just getting it out on paper. I got a bizarre sense of humor. Most people don't understand it, I guess, at that time. My mom helped me kind of flesh it out and get people to understand it. She was kind of old school, so I would send her sheets of my work, and then when I had an opportunity, I'd call her on the prison phone, and we discuss it and go over some of the ideas. And she said, I don't get this. What the hell are you talking about there? And then she laughed. This is my favorite part, and that's my favorite character. So she was very helpful to me during that time. That was a difficult time. Obviously, when you're in prison and you're away from everyone, it's going to be tough. Stole money, got sent away for it. So writing during difficult times can take up all types of things. It can be a death of a loved one, be incarcerated, which I assume most of you haven't been. You could be injured, you could be ill. I've touched these before. But taking that time to write will help you, and I think actually some of your best writing may happen during that time. I often kind of felt that way. I wasn't able to get the book completed while I was there. I finished it much later. Unfortunately, my mom did not see the book finished, but she had the opportunity to read a lot of it in the rough draft. This is the book here. I'm going to show it to you right now. It's called Codename Eclectics. Don't be fooled by the name. It's a comedy, and it's about bizarre behavior in the government and in private citizens being involved in the government, trying to solve some major conspiracy. And my mom's sense of humor from the old school, my sense of humor from another planet, we put it together, and it was a pretty good book. I wrote it all, bounced ideas off her. When you have that time when you think that you really don't feel like writing because maybe you just don't want to that day, and you're working on your book, or maybe you think, maybe I should just go out and mow the yard instead, or maybe I'll go down and have a couple beers instead. Those aren't difficult times. That's laziness, okay? Let's face it. Even if you go out to mow the yard instead of writing, that's laziness. Writing can be work. There's no doubt about it. If you're going to go do it, you got to do it. And so if you can do it during those difficult times, you can sure as hell do it during those times. Sit down, pick up the pen, and start going. I think during really difficult times and hard times and things that are stressing you out, maybe it's a form of writer's block that you can't get going. And if that happens, Just do some simple things. Maybe don't sit in a place in your house where you always write. Go outside, change the scenery, look around. Maybe there's a bird out there. You don't have to write directly to your story. If you're in the middle of writing a book, you don't have to necessarily start writing back about your book in that time when your mental capacities are not ready to go because something has struck you. Maybe you got a letter from the IRS and they're after your ass. They want more money from you. Boy, that's not a time you want to go write. Might be the best time to go write. Might help you very much. Get that out of your mind. Start writing. Maybe write about the IRS, but I would suggest writing about something else. That bird, as you're sitting outside, sitting on the fence, or a squirrel, or the grass. Or the grass you said you were going to mow, but you're not going to now because you're going to write. Does it look nice? Does it look crappy? Something like that. Get it out. Maybe just write gibberish, just to get it going. Doesn't have to be anything that makes any sense at all, but just start writing it. And when you have a really difficult time and you're facing something that's an uphill battle for you mentally, I think you pour your emotional self onto the paper, whether it makes any sense to anyone else in the world or not. I'm telling you, writing isn't just about writing a book. It's about writing your soul. And that may sound corny as hell to you. And it used to sound corny as hell to me until I sat on a bunk during a riot and wrote out how I felt about the riot that was going on. Until I sat on a bunk thinking about my family and how far away I was and wrote about how difficult that time was. Until I sat on that bunk and wrote most of this book right here, because I could bounce those ideas off my mom, who was so far away and getting older every minute. Those are things you can do. And you will be surprised. You will be surprised at the quality of what you write. You can always go back and write some gibberish or something to get yourself going. But I really believe you take that time. You take that time and write that with all sincerity and honesty when you hit those difficult times. And those difficult times are what you find difficult. There's no specific list. It might just be damn loneliness. You might just be damn lonely. Been there. That's a difficult time. Loneliness is everything it's cracked up to be. Maybe you're getting older. I am. We're all getting older, probably viewing this. It's the second half. Difficult times for some of us. You can't get up and go. Maybe you're stuck in bed and you can't move. Maybe you have to use a walker. It's like old times. Right. You don't need a fancy keyboard. You need a pen and a paper and do it. You will be surprised what it can do for you. And maybe there's someone else who's going to read it sometime. Don't have to show it to anyone, but maybe you can. Maybe you should. Let me make one last suggestion to you. If you don't know a form to write in, as I said before, write a letter. Write a letter to a friend. Write a letter to a loved one. Write a letter to someone who's passed and not with you anymore. Maybe write a little letter to yourself, telling yourself some things that you need to be honest about, because I think we need to be honest with ourselves. Maybe writing it down will help. But do it. Write it. Difficult times pass. Maybe not always the way they want them to, but we can use that time to better ourselves by doing something to help us release some of the emotions and write and do what we need to do. Okay? Remember, write messy, edit clean, and I'll see you soon.